What's up, you guys? This is Rob from Gay Guy Plays, and today on the Quick Draw, our sacks are ready to burst when we take a look at the pox. Now, I know I am late to the pox party, however, far more attractive options were available for me to cover, like the recent released Tanogen skins and my dress to kill for Titania. So I basically shoved these in a box in the back of my closet and just pretended that they didn't happen, kinda like all of my previous yearbook photos, alongside any evidence that I dated that one guy that was way too obsessed with cargo shorts. Regardless, these do have a bit of an interesting mechanic, so I figured why not take a look? Now, you can pick up the pox in the infested lab of your clan dojo, but only once you've completed your research on the equally juicy dual toxicist. However, you should be aware that alongside a couple Nitane, this will also require Mastery Rank 6 to craft. Now, if Nitane farming is not your thing, or maybe you're just really into the feeling of squish between your fingers, you can always pick this up in the market pre-built along with the weapon slot and catalyst for 175 plat. Now, its primary damage type is Toxin, which bypasses shields and deals bonus damage to both Corpus Flesh and Ferrite armor. Just keep in mind that innately it does suffer resistances against robotic and fossilized enemies. However, as it is a pure elemental based damage, it can be combined into some very powerful elemental combinations like Corrosive and Viral. So as always, be sure you're equipping the appropriate elemental combo in order to deal the optimal amount of damage. Now, initially when I saw the raw stats on this thing, I was in complete disbelief, as after modding, the damage listed on the page just seemed to do way more upfront damage than what was actually happening in game. So I decided to go and do a little bit of playtesting. Now, what actually seems to be happening is that it only deals 40% of its listed damage to the enemy upon the projectile's explosion. The remaining damage is dealt via the 5-meter poison cloud that it leaves behind. Upon contact, it will deal 1 tick of the pox's combined elemental damage, accompanied by 8 ticks of toxin-based damage. Every additional second the enemy stays in the cloud, it will deal another instance of elemental damage and another stack of toxin. Now, here's where things get a bit complicated. Both the explosion damage and the initial instance of elemental damage are affected by all normal mods. However, the toxin damage is only affected by the base damage mods and toxin damage mods. So if you're strengthening a toxin-based elemental combo, apply more of your toxin elemental than the other element. Now, the pox does come fully loaded with a 30% base status that, after applying both multi-shot mods, jumps all the way up to 70%. An additional elemental status mod puts it at 90%, while 2 puts it at 98%. The way this seems to work is that status can be applied both by the initial explosion as well as the gas cloud. Any of the initial instances of elemental damage from being in the cloud also have a chance to apply the status. However, the remaining toxin ticks do not, meaning that if you want to make the most of those status triggers, you'll have to find a way to keep them in the cloud, which can be achieved by using fire, electric, or blast procs to keep them in place, aside from standard card control abilities like Lantern and Vortex. So with its main features out of the way, the rest of its statistics are far less noteworthy. While it does have a 2x crit multiplier, it's only got a 1% crit chance, and its fire rate is actually the slowest of all thrown weapons. The only thing that I really think people should be aware of is the fact that this has an extremely small max ammo pool, as this is considered an explosive weapon, as well as the fact that its flight speed is rather slow, which results in feeling like you're throwing around explosive gas paper planes that happen to look like some fucked up cross between a beta fish and a testicle. Now, speaking of things that may have gone a bit too far, can we talk? So I don't know who signed off on the pox or even who pitched the idea of the pox, but I feel like they may have gotten a bit carried away. You see, while the Phage, Torrid, Serrata, hell, even the dual Toxicist and the Embolist mildly resemble actual weapons, the pox is just straight up internal organs. Whether you think it's a beating heart or a set of Rocky Mountain oysters before they've been battered and deep fried, I honestly don't think the word weapon was in their heads when they designed this thing. In fact, I think it was probably very similar to the conversation that led up to the creation of fisting. Just a couch full of porn directors sitting around trying to figure out how to make fingering even more extreme. Just picture them in the concept phases saying, "Hey Ben, I got a great idea. What do you say we make it this texture like a nutsack? You know what, Jim, that's a great idea. Let's make it jiggly too." I'll do you even one better, Ben. We get this thing twitching and I think we got a winner with the kids. Because that's how I assume all DE employees sound like. Regardless, it gives me some fodder for the gay factor, and that's always a good thing. Now let's pretend that I don't make terrible accents and get back to the quick draw. So all in all, the pox is quite effective, but also quite niche. Its ability to lay down toxin cloud synergizes extremely well with the fact that secondary mods are uniquely specialized in multi-shot. Combined with its high base status, it gives a pox the ability to inflict procs quite quickly, which is one of the keys to being an effective status weapon. In addition, it comes with 2 innate V-slots, which makes maxing out its builds far less painful. Because let's face it, it's already hard not to wince when it looks like you ripped out some poor creature's testicles. Testicles. So thank you all for watching another episode of The Quick Draw. If you haven't already caught it, be sure to check out my previous episode on the Galatian Prime and the Tigris Prime. Now, don't forget to do all the things that I ask you to do at the end of every one of these, and as always, stay tuned for more ball-busting content here at A Gay Guy Plays. Now, as you all know, it's not all sunshine and roses here on YouTube. Sometimes things can go a bit dark, but I am very thankful for my viewers who always check their facts. So, I feel it would be advantageous to revisit that video, as I'm tossing 30 codes in there, comments, descriptions, and annotated in. And as always, be kind to one another and only take one per viewer. Thank you, thank you!